My name is Rhonda Farrah. Um, I grew up on the East Coast in Connecticut, which some viewers may know, and migrated west for a variety of different reasons. Ended up in California for about 28 years, um, and was migrating back to Connecticut. And I'm in Colorado Springs right now on a work project, but eventually we'll be back on the East Coast. I'm an East Coast gal. I was raised in a very traditional household. I had a stay-at-home mom and a dad who preferred mom stay at home. I'm I'm the oldest of one sister and three brothers. And for I think through age 8 through third grade, we all lived, my third grade, we all lived in a extended family. So many of, especially maybe from the East Coast, know that extended family was parents, siblings, grandparents, aunts, great aunts. There was an uncle in there at one point or another. So that was all happening. And but it was a household of primarily women. So from an early age, I gained a sense of being a nurturer because I was surrounded by women, not that men don't nurture, but also because I'm the oldest of three brothers and a sister. So that gave me I will say, the emotional impetus to want to get into the field of counseling, of psychology. And up until 2005, I was a counseling psychologist, a psychotherapist. I made the switch in 2005, around there, because I decided that the client should take responsibility. Not that they wouldn't, as well, was doing psychotherapy, but the client should take responsibility for them. And it's all of our responsibilities. And it's not just when life is going really well, the joyful part of it, but it's also the adversity, the struggle, the challenges, which I'm no stranger to. So I segued from counseling and psychotherapy to I'm a lifestyle empowerment alchemist, coach, author, and speaker. And I say alchemist, not alchemy is the precursor to chemistry, and I am not a left brain person. I think I took environmental science versus a chemistry course when it was required. And I literally help people help themselves to take their joys, their struggles, their sorrows, and make it work for them rather than anything less. So that's a brief introduction to me. I'll leave it in
I
your
want
hands.
Absolutely. I wonder sometimes if that people will only focus on elevating their lives through joy, and then they will maybe de-evaluate their life through sorrow. And the example I give is that I can see that maybe doing this kind of job or being this type of person, I can see the joy at the end of the tunnel. So even though the joy hasn't happened yet, I'm feeling it because I'm imagining it. Now, on the flip side, that will push me to maybe progress and go further. But now if I experience sorrow in something, let's say I had an opportunity to get a job, but I wasn't chosen. Now I feel sorry for it. So when the next job comes up, I'm hesitant. Or if I'm divorced and it ended in a way that, you know what? I was the one that was at more fault than the other person. Now I'm hesitant to get back into that type of situation. Have you seen that in some of the people that you work with, or maybe in your own life?
We'll start with my own life. Let's you made an interesting analogy with the tunnel, because I always, whether I'm speaking to an audience or I'm speaking to a client or group coaching, um, that whatever tunnel one happens to be traveling down right through, the light at the end of it need not necessarily be a train. And you made that point. That light is the guidance, it's the blueprint, it's the inspiration to keep moving forward and to claim your blessings. Um, I have plenty of credentials in the psychology field, but I've had some, not, I call it the not so good stuff, the good and the not so good stuff that I have been through. And I've come out on the other side of it. I mean, the really good side of it, because I've chosen to take the gift and the blessing from it. And that's really my message, that messes that we all are in, we can turn them into a message for others, because we are not alone, no matter what we're going through. Some of the things that I have been through, that not so good stuff, I call it, but I found a gift and blessing in all of it, was incarceration in a women's federal prison camp, cancer, and divorce, including the financial ruin of divorce, several actually. So I hear what you're saying, and those are my top credentials that I can really, really resonate when someone comes to me and I said this and says this not so good stuff is happening in my life. You know, how do I ever find the gift and the blessing in it? Two important things that I live by, and I take responsibility. Everything that happened that was not so good in my life, the failures, quote unquote, the mistakes, they're really not. I called them forward. And I believe we all call it forward. We call it forward to learn some lessons and to be the best version of ourselves. And people say, well, gee, you seem to have bounced back from all this not so good stuff. And I said, no, I don't bounce back. I bounce forward. And I literally do, because I've learned gifts and blessings. And you were talking about, well, if you didn't get the job, if you're hesitant to go into another relationship. What that may be teaching someone is that don't get into the pattern that you're in. There's two emotions, fear and love. If you're operating from fear, starts right here in the heart space, you create a thought, and then you create your external world. So I'll use the incidence of divorce. Okay, so I thank my partners, my spouses, for coming into my life, even though it was a travesty. It was a travesty because I needed to learn certain things so I don't repeat those patterns. And it was about 2 years ago that I decided I'm going to change the brand. My company has helped me, Rhonda, now. But I changed my brand to fix your reflection first and live your best life ever. And I literally look in the mirror, and a lot of people can't. They can't look in the mirror. They don't like whom they see. They don't like what they see. And that's the first step. Right now, I'm ready for the best relationship ever. Am I looking? Am I rushing? No, because I want to look in the mirror. When I look in my mirror, I see the love of my life. And that is what I'm advocating for others. Start loving yourself by fixing your reflection first. I mean, be gentle with yourself, care for yourself, love yourself, like yourself. Liking is sometimes more important than showing love to yourself, because that is the type of person, that is the type of situation, partnership you're going to create, not only in romantic love, in every area of your life. I mean, we're partners with ourselves, we're partners with our families, our kids, business relationships, colleagues. If you can look in your mirror and see the love of your life, you will exude this thing of all of us in the transformation business. I'm not talking to a stranger about that. Us in the transformation business, we start vibing in high directions. We start resonating. Our radio is tuned in to a high frequency rather than a low frequency. You know, with the things that I named, that not so good stuff, that turned out to be really good stuff and very informational for me and inspiring to me, I didn't always look in my mirror and see the love of my life. I saw a downtrodden woman with a label on her head, several. Once I got out of that mindset, and once I said to myself in the mirror, how do you expect to help others help themselves if you're not doing that yourself? So I get you. And it's don't repeat the patterns. Don't repeat the choices because you settled for less. I mean, I totally believe that we all can live the life that we desire, the life that we want, perhaps the life we dream about, rather than year after year settling for less and living life in default mode. It's our insecurities that draw what we do not want to ourselves. And based on those insecurities, we get to learn, we get to decide what to do, and we get to move forward with the best version of ourselves.
And Rhonda, I'll add that there's some people that I know I've come in contact with, and it appears and sounds like you've come in contact with, where what you're saying makes complete sense to them. Definitely makes sense to you and I because you and I have come through on the other end and we're not fearful of the mirror, or better yet, we're not hesitant to look in it, where maybe there's a point in time we were, or there's a number of people who aren't. But there's some people that will counter and they will say that, you know what, Trent, I hear what you're saying. You know what, Rhonda, I love the example you gave. But that person in the mirror, I'm afraid of that person, right? That person in the mirror is an ugly person. Maybe not physically, right? Maybe more so internally. I'm not ready to say that I'm the problem, or worse yet, I am not the problem. The problem is the trains of the world. The problem are the Rondas of the world. The problem is the world itself because I'm perfect. Everyone should settle for me and everyone should compromise themselves for me. And when I look at what they're going through, it is many times difficult, at least for me, to maybe engage with them in that way just because, to your point, you can hear the insecurity, you can see the insecurity, but getting the mirror to turn around and have them face it is tough. Have you experienced that as well with maybe some of the people that you work with or that you have observed?
Yes, they're deathly afraid to look in the mirror. Never mind say, hey, I like you, or name three things that you got going for you. They're really good, though, at looking in the mirror and finding their faults, finding their foibles, finding their imperfections. We are whole, perfect, and complete just the way we are. We are perfectly imperfect. That's the bottom line. We're magnificent beings. And when we understand that, when we identify that, and when we choose to be the magnificent being that we are, we will radiate such brilliance that not only will we like ourselves, we'll respect ourselves, we will esteem ourselves, we will appreciate ourselves, we will love ourselves, and we will be aware of who we are. And that is exactly what we attract. Like attracts like. Everybody's opposites attract opposites. Opposites attract. Yeah, they really? Okay, maybe. I think they do in some cases in my own personal situations. But we don't stay together that long. Okay? We don't stay together that long. And like attracts like. So if you want love, be love, exude love. I have had not one, several clients. I said, well, what do you want out of a relationship? Whether it's a heterosexual, same sex, this is what they want. They want someone who doesn't treat them as badly as the person that they're with. And that's exactly what they'll get. I said, could you turn that around? Could you list for me three qualities that you'd like in a spouse, in a partner? Hard for them. Hard. I said, well, think of it. Think if it was you. If it was you choosing you, what would you want? Hard. Can't do it. And that's where that is the danger. That is, you have decided when you don't decide. When I ask someone, what do you want? I don't know. Okay, well, what don't you want? Okay, yeah, getting a little better. Okay. What do you want to change? I said to a client recently. Oh, I want to change my job. I want to change where I live. I want to change my health. Well, what don't you want to change? I don't want to stop smoking. And this had nothing to do with, with the issue of smoking or the issue of health. I said, okay, so you know what you want to keep, but these are the things you want to change. So And in a lot of times, I mean, I'm not going to judge others. Okay, if you like smoking, smoke. I have no right nor obligation to tell you what to do, to choose for you what I think. I invite a lot of people to do something that will be better for them, but it's still their choice, whether they do or not. So it's a it's not even a fine line. It's so distinct. Look in your mirror and have a conversation with yourself. Look, take out your cell phone. How many are we on the phone or not? So much of the day. Okay, turn that phone around so that you're looking at yourself and have a conversation. How are you doing today? You feeling good? Are you productive? Have you gotten out of this day what you'd like to get out of this day? Have that conversation like you're talking to your best friend, and you better be your best friend, because if you're not going to attract the type of people, the type of circumstances, situations, hap- um, in events that will be the best for you.
It's like me, what I do now is I no longer ask people what they want. I always ask them, what is it that you don't want? And that's why I said like a long list, right?
Right.
Wide, 20 feet wide, 20 feet tall. And I said, perfect. So the opposite of that is what you want. And then they pause. I was like,
Mhm.
that has to be true, right? If this is what you don't want, the opposite has to be what you want. And the reason
Right.
why I asked it that way is because it's easier for them to navigate in their mind, because it seems like maybe the people who are conditioned to think that way, or the people who have conditioned themselves to think that way, is always from the negative first. What is it that you don't want? What is it that's
Right.
bad? Right? So, okay, tell me what is good. Like, I'll give you an example. Just today, there's someone I was speaking to, and they messaged me with all this news. Like, oh, this celebrity is doing this celebrity is doing that. And it was all slanted negative or just outright negative news. So I turned
Mhm.
around to that person. I was like, okay, tell me some news about you. Like, what do you mean? I was like, well, other people are living their life, right? All these celebrities that you mentioned, you must have news. So tell me news about you. What have you been up to? What have you been doing? And they're like, oh, nothing. So I was like, don't you see the problem with that? Is that you can tell me the negative news of so many other people, but you can't even tell me positive news about yourself. I'm like, who knows you better than you? Right? So what are your thoughts, Rhonda?
Well, and I can understand that. And I've had people in my personal life as well as professional and business life. They're real squeamish about talking about themselves in a positive light. And some of your viewers may go up one side and down the other of me, because I believe that selfishness is the most selfless thing one can do. You cannot ring the bell in your favor. No one else is going to ring the bell for you. No one else is going to say, wow, look at, he or she exudes confidence. He or she is oh, it's okay to be vulnerable. I consider myself a very vulnerable person. I didn't used to, but for the things that I can talk about personally in my life, someone will be listening and saying, wow, and there's my aha breath. I call it my God breath. That's a confirmation when that happens. So you hit the nail on the head. It's like, talk about everybody else. So the spotlight is not on them. Guess what? The spotlight is on you. It's your life. What do you want to do with it? Now, if you don't want to do anything with it, well, that's fine too. Again, not my right nor my obligation. But think about how many times we get blessed because we bless someone else. We say, we all do this. Oh, that's a really nice color on you, Rhonda. Oh, this whole thing? No, I don't do it anymore. But my point is that we don't, people want to bless us. Why take that blessing away from them? Healing is says the same thing with healing. I consider myself, I'm a transformation person. I, I heal myself from inside out by helping others to heal. When I'm on my run, I I'm grateful for the smiles, for the hellos. You know, those are things that I like. The little things. The little things are great. They need to be included in the recipe of a happy life.
Why do you think then, Rhonda, that so many of us focus more so on, to use your terminology that we discussed earlier today, the sorrow versus focusing on more so the joy, or at least being more balanced between the two?
I think a couple of things about that. First of all, like it or not, there are just people that choose to be in victim mode all the time. It's someone else's fault. You talked about that. They are in victim mode. Everything is wrong with the world. And you know what? I'm not saying the world is rose colored right now. We are in the midst of chaos, of disruption like never before. I mean, my dad, God rest his soul, used to say, you know, truth is stranger than fiction. And this is like, we got a made for TV movie going on economically, politically, in other areas of the world. But here's the thing, understand that there's a gift and the blessing in all of that. Okay. People maybe, or may take some more doing, realize that it's within here. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Don't, it's not the government's fault. It's not um, whoever's fault. Don't expect anyone to take care of you other than you. And that's an inside job. Being the best you can be is an inside job. So stop blaming everyone else. I'm not happy with the state of affairs either, but that's the way it is. So what can I do rather than be a victim and complain? Because it starts right here. If everyone practiced the art of being peaceful rather than battling all the time, we would have world peace. But we're so consumed with our differences rather than our similarities. And that's where the chaos ensues. So ask yourself, okay, I do believe order comes out of chaos. So how much chaos do you want? Start with your own personal life. How much chaos do you need until you say, enough is enough? I've had enough. I need to be the best person that I can be for me, because that influences anyone that we surround and influence, and all others in between. So it's easier to be in victim mode. Oh my gosh, I don't have to change. I can just be in victim mode. Change is one of the biggest fears that there is. Well, you got to change. You got to make some changes. Got to make some changes in your own life. And I do believe, whether you call it the universe, source, spirit, the divine, God, you get these little pebbles thrown at you. Someone's trying to get your attention. Go about your merry way. Don't pay attention to the pebbles, even though you may be a little convicted in here. Oh, maybe, yeah, maybe I've made some poor choices. Maybe I should make some changes. Then comes the 2x4. I get hit by a 2x4 now. I need your attention. And finally, the brick comes out. Okay, the brick comes out. I've got your attention. I know God was trying to get my attention for a long time. He put me in a federal women's prison camp. I mean, there were no bars or anything like that, where I was teaching wellness classes. I was pivoted right back into what I do, what that nurturer in me was supposed to be doing, rather than the world of high finance. I got an aha moment. I got humbled. I got awakened. And after about a year, I stopped hitting the phone against the wall, saying, get me out of here. God breath again. I just said, oh, well. Oh, well. I stopped hitting the phone against the wall. That was in 1999. Okay. I remember it like it was yesterday. That's, some people call it surrender. It was then that my new life began. It was then that the onion skin was being peeled away. So my true self, self with a capital S, could come out. And after doing all of that and teaching, and knowing I had a lump on my breast for 11 months, but wasn't going to do anything about it because of where I was released, got the treatment I needed, thank God, cancer free for 17 years. And um, I awakened. I helped other people awaken to it, to what was happening. And then my sentence was expunged after 6 years. Now I could be a victim and say, oh, that damn government, that damn this, that. No, no. A lot of people say, do you have any resents? Do you resent anything about that? And I say, no, I wouldn't have changed a thing. They think I'm nuts. I wouldn't have changed a thing because I learned so much about myself through that adversity, through that struggle, through that challenge. And the changes I made pivoted me right back into where I should be, in service of others.
I wonder how many people avoid adversity because they know that if they were successful in overcoming it, it would change them, which leads us back to one of the biggest fears is change.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. And they may not even know they're avoiding it or they're repelling challenge, struggle. What we resist persists. It'll come right at you. You're asking for it. Okay. Because it is impossible not to change. You may not know you're going through a change, but you will go through the change. And we are never too old for transformation. Trust and believe. Never too old for transformation.
It's
And
like,
they,
to your point, right? It's like victimhood and being complacent is like taking fresh, hot, warm blankets out of the dryer. It's comforting, it's warm, it's safe in a lot of ways. But you're right, because if you're going to stay the same, then you really don't have the right to complain because you know the devil that you're entertaining. But the devil that you don't know, right? It could be either worse off, which is scary,
mm,
or, and here's the one that is even more scary than that, it could be something totally different. And when it's something totally different, something that's better, it's like, am I worthy of that? Or am I capable of becoming that person? You see, it's easy to sustain being the victim in a lot of ways because it's like, Rhonda, you know what? It's the world, right? So when you have that mentality, it doesn't matter what happens in your life, there's always someone to blame. It's like you're always looking for an abuser. It could be, I missed the bus. I didn't get that job. I'm single and lonely. I didn't get the promotion. I'm late. It's always someone else versus saying that, okay, and I did this in my 20s. I stood in the mirror and I said, Terrain, what is it that you like about your life? Mention a couple of things. Terrain, what is it that you don't like about your life? I mentioned a couple of things. And I said, the only person who can change any of those things are you. Either you find the courage, you find the strength, you find the dedication to do so, or you just sit like a 2 year old and say,
mm.
wah, poor me. It's because of this. Right? Why do you think, even as we get older, because as you mentioned, love and success has no age, but yet it seems being the same person or being in the victimhood, that seems to go on forever for some people. So why do you think some people stay in it for as long as they have without necessarily making some changes that they know could lead to what they ultimately truly want in their heart?
Well, the number one thing is fear of change. Um, and what people are realizing is our life begins when we get the hell out of our comfort zone. When we get, I like warm blankets out of the dryer too, but gee, it's like, come on, there's more to life than just warm blankets out of the dryer. We can have those too, but at the same time, and the subconscious mind is always operating. So that we think that's what we want. We think that's what we want. Just the warm blankets out of the dryer. I'm fine. I'm good. Okay. That's but the subconscious mind is saying, well, wait a minute. You've got all this talent, this expertise. The divine is saying, I gave you skills, talents, and abilities. Why are you not using them? Why are you sitting under a rock and staying there and feeling good about it, yet not feeling good? Okay. Yet not feeling good. And let me tell you what, wherever we go, we take ourselves. I was in a federal women's prison camp. I went through breast cancer, 3 divorces. Okay. Wherever I went, I took myself. I'm the common denominator. I mean, go figure it out. I'm not a left brain person, as I alluded to in the beginning of this interview. I am, but I know that the denominator is me in all this. Don't think that you're going to change anyone. Change a few things about yourself and then look around you and watch how everything changes with the people that you're dealing with. And you may shed some people. You may say it may be, okay, that was good. Learned what I needed to learn. Moving on. Now, but it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay that some days I don't feel like going on my run, or now it's a jog, but I can still jog. I can still fast walk. Yeah, I got aches and pains, but you know what? I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to keep moving. And then I feel better once I do that. It's the same thing in every area of our life. Face it. Come on. Get out of your comfort zone. You're the common denominator. Don't you realize? Wherever you go, well, I'm going to leave the state. Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get rid of this marriage. Okay. And then you get into another one. The same thing. Because patterns. Hey, been there, done that. I broke the pattern. I said, enough is enough. Enough is enough. And when enough people can say enough is enough, this world, they will turn around. And when enough people are saying enough is enough and enough people turn around in that direction, then the world turns around for the better.
I will 100% agree with that. I had that conversation with someone. I was dating, and
Mm-hmm.
there were some issues that were coming up, and I told the person that it's one thing if there's an issue where you both are trying to fix it and it can't, and for some reason it just can't be repaired, and then everyone goes their separate ways. That's something that both people have to adjust to make sure that the next relationship is better. But I
Right.
give her the example of saying that if it's something that you're doing, you have a choice. Either you attempt to fix it or you don't attempt to fix it. There's nothing in between, because everything else that you could come up with will ultimately lead to one of those two choices. And I said, here's the problem with what a lot of people go through is that they're the architect of their own misery. They
Yeah.
design a lot of the issues that they go through, either directly, indirectly, and I will argue more directly. But if you aren't honest with yourself, no one has to be around you or tolerate you, but you will always be with yourself, right? It doesn't matter where you go, you're going to take your problems. If you don't fix it, doesn't matter where you go, you're going to take your successes. But if you're going to go around and not try to be better, as you mentioned, and not try to fix it, people don't have to tolerate it. Once they see it, they have a choice. Oh, okay, you know what? I can accept this for a little bit, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to run. But the person who's doing it, the person who's the source of that problem, they will always, always, always have to live with themselves.
Yes.
And that's why I want to highlight Rhonda, because you made a really good point when you said that. It's like you can leave the country, still with you. Right? Do you see people who not only maybe on an emotional level try to run away from themselves, but on a physical level as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, that word fix. Okay. By looking in the mirror, or however you do it, Look, fixing your reflection. What is your perception of yourself? Because that's what you're reflecting. If your perception is you're a victim and it's everyone else's fault, that's reflecting right back at you. And then that reinforces the fact that you're a victim. You're helping yourself be more of a victim than you may have been. Okay, so it's by fixing your reflection first, you fix your life, you fix your relationships, you fix your business, you fix who you meet. But fix your reflection. Again, it's an inside job. It begins with us. And if you can't, I went from downtrodden to looking in the mirror and seeing the love of my life. Okay. So if I can do it, other people can do it. There's a guru in each one of us. We're all our own guru if we choose to believe that. Okay. Yes, I've had many mentors that are gurus in their own right, but I'm a guru too. You're a guru, Terrain. All right. That's the bottom line. People that I've met in some of those nice, not so nice situations, I don't even say the ugly, the bad. There are no bad situations. There aren't. I mean, some people will look at me and say, oh, she's such a Pollyanna. What the hell is wrong with her? God. I like myself. I love all people. I do, no matter what. But some people, I don't like their behaviors at all. If I love
It's
all people,
like you love someone, but you don't always like them.
correct. Because of the way they're behaving. It's like, not only that word alchemist. Oh, I can't wait. Ask me what that is, alchemist. It's the good and the not so good and making it work for you. It's like, it's the recipe, it's the formula. Well, how am I going to live an empowered life? The life I want, the life I desire. I said, well, I'm an alchemist. I have a formula for you. What is it? Gratitude plus forgiveness equals living the life you desire, the life you want, perhaps even the life you dream about, rather than frigging settling for less one year after another and living life in default mode. Because after a while, that doesn't work for you. It's like when you have a recurring charge and it says your default payment is this. It just happened to me this morning. I said, what the hell is this about? I didn't change the expiration date. My default payment didn't work. It's the same thing with us. You want to live life in default? Well, how's that working for you? Gratitude plus forgiveness is living an empowered life. Gratitude. Start writing the little things down. I do in the morning and in the evening. Those smiles that I see, those hellos, those little things. People, I don't neglect to write that down. And the warm blankets out of the dryer. I got that. Okay.
I
And
think
then
that's going to be my analogy going forward, the warm blankets.
yeah, warm blankets. That's the warm blanket guy. That's right. So, but you see, and then forgiveness. Forgiveness. Ooh, not a popular word, forgiveness. Let's get away from that word. Gratitude people can take. They say, yeah, let's count your blessings because they'll multiply like rabbits if you start doing that. Forgiveness. Ooh, that's a tough one for many people. I was part of a forgiveness summit 3 years ago, I think, and spoke on the topic of forgiveness. And the moderator, the host, knew, a lot of what has happened in my life that I call the not so good stuff. And I forgave them all, whether they be partners, spouses, the jury that convicted me, my judge that said to the jurors, hurry up. Hurry up. Yeah, they hurried up, all right. And my point is, I forgave them all because it wasn't doing anything for me. But downtrodden, don't want to look in the mirror, downtrodden. Okay. So, and begin by forgiving yourself. I spoke to an audience not too long ago, and I told them what the formula was. Okay, forgiveness. Gratitude list we know about. Okay, forgiveness is really important. I want you to write a letter. Looked at me like, oh. I said, no, you don't have to mail the letter. There was sighs of relief there. I said, write a letter. Like, start with yourself. Hello, self. I've been meaning to write to you for quite some time. First of all, how are you? Do you know when I did those terrible things to you and betrayed you and otherwise, I really didn't mean to hurt you. And go on from there. It doesn't have to be very long. Write it to yourself first. Because if you can forgive yourself, just like if you can look in the mirror and love yourself, you're going to get love back. You're going to get forgiveness back of yourself and of others. Then take another piece of paper. Write a letter to someone that you feel has harmed you. No, you don't have to mail it. But you must write the letter. 95% of the population learns visually. I'm a big person for writing things down. So if you can practice that formula, you will find that your life, maybe not overnight, but your life will become more and more empowered. You will become stronger. You will be able to look in your mirror and say, hey, I love you. You look great today. Gee, you'll be able to do those things.
Rhonda, as we close, what final words of wisdom or tips that you want to give our audience today?
One, I mentioned before, but let me mention there's 3 tips. Number 1, you are not alone. If you are having challenges and struggles, whatever you want to call it, that not so good stuff, reach out to someone. Whether you reach out to me, to Terrain, to anyone in the community, reach out to someone. Be still with yourself and say, okay, who can I reach out to? I am having trouble with this, and enough is enough. Who can I reach out to? That's number 1. You're not alone. Number 2, I mentioned it before. Wherever you go, you take yourself. We've discussed that. Wherever you go, in your heart, in your mind, physically, wherever you relocate to, you're taking yourself. So make sure it's your highest and best self, or you'll have to move again. And finally, I invite our audience to treat life as if it were ice cream. Enjoy it before it melts.